do you get? Well, you get a certificate, and you also get a promise. It's called a covenant. You get a covenant from the county that the people will pay you. If they don't pay you, guess what? You're going to get the property. Welcome back. Wow, I don't think anything is risk-free. I'm fond of saying that tax lien certificates are the safest, sometimes I even say the most lucrative investment in America today. But I can tell you this, they're a safe investment, and I'm going to tell you why in this particular episode. Now, when I started out, I heard about tax lien certificates, and I said, wow, how could you buy an investment that doesn't have risk? Well, I don't know that it's risk-free, but I can tell you this is a low-risk investment when you get involved with tax lien certificates. Now, I know life has risk, and so do you. People run the red lights. People bump into you in the parking lots. They scratch your cars up. People do all kinds of things. People maybe drink too much. Maybe they eat too much. Life has a lot of risk. So let's talk about tax-defaulted property, and let's talk about how risk-free they might be. Because when you buy a tax certificate, you don't buy it from Ted Thomas. You invest directly with the government. You're going to get your checks more than likely back directly from the government. So tax certificates are low-risk investment. Why are they low risk? Because when you make that investment, your investment is secured by the real estate. Now, what on earth does that mean? That simply means that if you don't get paid on a tax certificate, then you're going to end up with that property. Now, I didn't make those rules, and I'm going to go over the rules with you, but that makes it a pretty safe and secure investment. Now, I didn't say that it was risk-free. Now, every investment has some kind of risk to it, but the benefit to this investment is you invest with the government, you're going to get a check back from the government, and you're going to get your checks back when the people redeem the property. Redeem means they're going to come in and pay for the tax certificate that you bought and pay you the high interest rate. Okay, so tax certificate investors either get money or they get a property. So it's a pretty darn simple investment. Now, if you follow the basic rules, which are always look at the property before you buy, you're going to make it as safe as possible. Now, you don't want to go out and start raising your hand and buying tax lien certificates that you haven't checked out the property. You want to see what's there, because what if you bought a property that was covered with junk? Or what if you bought a tax lien certificate that didn't have any value? That could happen if it was a junk property or it was a property that was in the ghetto and you wouldn't want to own it. So you don't want to buy anything that you haven't looked at. So property owners need to look at the property, and you should look at the neighborhood, because if you do end up with the property, you're going to want to sell it. Well, there's properties that can't be sold. There are properties that are worthless. Now, the beauty of a tax lien certificate is when you buy one, in the event you didn't get paid, what the treasurer will do is the treasurer will cancel the mortgage and the deed of trust loan if there is one. Okay, so I've been involved in teaching people and guiding people for the past 30 years, and I must admit, when I learned about tax lien certificates, I thought, boy, I'm not going back to traditional real estate, and I can tell you I certainly haven't done that, because tax lien certificates and tax defaulted properties are a great business. Tax liens because they're safe and secure, and tax defaulted property because I can buy real estate for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar without a mortgage and without a deed of trust. So that's a pretty low risk investment from my perspective. Now, investors think of tax lien certificates as an alternative investment. Now, what's a regular investment? That would be like stocks and bonds and things like that. So this is an alternative investment that's sold at the local county level in about 1,500 counties across the United States. All the counties don't sell tax lien certificates, but the benevolent counties really do. All right, now who makes the rules for all this? I don't make the rules. The legislature for each state makes the rules. All right, now the legislature governs the state, and they mandate that all property owners must pay property tax. All right, now some of the counties are very benevolent. Now they're all individual taxing districts. Now why did I say benevolent? Well, I think that the counties that allow people to sell, that are allowed to sell tax lien certificates are very benevolent, because what they could do, they could just confiscate the property and resell it. But what they do is they sell a tax lien certificate. So now the local people can have an alternative investment, and for the people that defaulted on their taxes, they're going to get more time to pay. Well, if you get more time to pay, that's pretty darn benevolent. They're being good to those people. So those people, they let the tax lien be sold, but when they come in to pay for it, they have to pay whatever that buyer paid, and they're going to have to pay a high interest rate, which could be 60% in some states, 18% in other states. It goes all the way up to 36% interest on a tax lien certificate. Now, are these things risk-free? I don't think any investment is risk-free. But as I say, I'm fond of saying that tax lien certificates are safe and secure. Why are they safe? Because when you buy one, it's secured by the real estate. If you don't get paid, you're going to get the real estate. So you better make sure that if you look at that real estate, don't buy them on junk properties, because then you're going to have a problem. Now, what about this redemption stuff? Well, most tax lien certificates have to be redeemed, depending upon the state, between 2 and 3 years. So sometime during that period of time, the homeowner or property owner is going to come forward and pay for the tax certificate. About 90 or 95% of those people are going to pay for that tax lien certificate. All right, so most investors think of this as an alternative investment. You can buy them online. You can buy them in almost any amount you want. You can have $500 and buy one. You can have $5,000 or $50,000. So their tax certificates are issued on everything. Sometimes it's residential homes. Sometimes it's vacant residential lots. Sometimes it's land. Could be small farms. Could be apartments. Any property in the United States is going to have a property tax, okay? All right, now, of course, the schools and the churches are not taxed, but every privately owned property has a tax on it. All right, so if they can't collect in those 1,500 counties that sell tax certificates, well, then they're going to sell the tax certificate to you or anybody that wants to buy it. And what do you get? Well, you get a certificate, and you also get a promise. It's called a covenant. You get a covenant from the county that the people will pay you. If they don't pay you, guess what? You're going to get the property. All right, is it risk-free? Well, I can't say it's risk-free, but it's as low a risk investment as I can talk about. All right, now, I don't want to say risk-free because that's too broad, but you're getting the idea. This is a pretty safe and secure investment. Now, the treasurer is actually working for the Board of Supervisors, and the treasurer, they're the ones that lay down the law on this. What they do, if the property owner doesn't pay, they set out with a lien. They make a lien against the property. They send lots of due process notices of default. So the treasurer sends a notice of default, and if the people don't pay on the notice of default, then the treasurer can levy on the property, and then at that point they start selling a tax lien certificate, or they could confiscate the property. So in about 1,500 different counties, they'll actually be selling these tax lien certificates. And the property owner can come in and pay for it any time. If you buy one, you're going to buy a certificate that's going to be due in 2 or 3 years' time. Anybody can own it. Now, you don't want to buy on junk property. So I always repeat that and say, you need to look and see what you're buying. The beauty about buying this investment is when you buy it, if the people don't come in and pay, the county is going to knock out the mortgage. By that I mean they're going to cancel the mortgage, and they're going to cancel a deed of trust on that property. So you're going to get a property. It's free and clear of mortgage encumbrance. However, you might check and see if there's municipal liens. You might check and see if there's any other federal liens. Now, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not a federal government employee or a county employee. All right, I'm just a person that invests in tax liens and tax deeds. And so I want you to know we publish things, we teach you things about it, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in just a minute so that you can learn yourself. Okay, now all the purchasers of tax lien certificates need to learn to do one thing, and that is they need to do due diligence and check on what they're buying before they buy. If it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Properties that are worthless, they still sell the tax lien certificate, and some people buy them, but how are you going to sell them if it's worthless? If it's a bad property, you don't want to buy it. If it's a bad neighborhood, you don't want to buy it. So what does that mean? That means you've got to do your due diligence. All right, I'm running out of time, so I do want you to take a close look at this map. You see those little white circles? That's how many auctions are taking place within that state. This calendar updates every single day. I'm here today to show you how to make money. To do that, I'm going to show you briefly that there are thousands of tax defaulted real estate properties across the 3,000 plus counties in the United States. This is quite interesting. You're looking at the Ted Thomas Magic Interactive Map and Auction Calendar. It changes every day. Now, I created the calendar and the map so I would know how many auctions are taking place every day in the United States. Now I can show the little guy how to make money. Most importantly, I created this system so I could have an auction list for each auction 24/7. If it's a county with a small population, they're going to have dozens, even as much as 100 tax lien certificates, or maybe even more. All right. Large population counties are going to have thousands of these tax lien certificates, and they're going to have thousands of tax deeds. All right, so you can take advantage of that. If you'd like to know how many and where, just go right below me. I'm Ted Thomas. I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget, request your free gift right below me.